There was once a genius, an ultra-intellectual man, who was one evening on a walk. Let's say he was walking by his house, which was next to a beach. His seafront property, due to his success already in science. This guy was a genius. And that one evening, when he was on a walk, he decided to sit down to watch the sunset. And when he watched the sunset, he was sitting underneath a tree. This tree wasn't an ordinary tree. It wasn't just a tree, just a random birch tree or oak tree. Leaves weren't the only thing that were falling out the tree. But instead, a larger, rounder object from a stem fell from the high and bonked him on the head. If you couldn't already tell, this intellect that I'm talking about is Isaac Newton. And maybe I might be lying about the story about him going on a walk in the autumn time in the evening. I might be. But we certainly know that this genius, this ultra genius, was underneath a tree and an apple bonked him on the head. And this personal experience of his obviously led to him discovering about gravity and gravitational field strength and all these scientific things, right? Personally, I'm not a huge fan of science. But even if you're not a huge fan of science, I think every man on this planet, every person on this planet, can have an abundance of respect for Isaac Newton because of just how genius he was. Isaac Newton wasn't just a genius in the whole realm of science and in discovering gravity. He was also a genius in real life, in the actual world. And you could say the actual world is science, but I'm talking about away from his profession. He was a genius in day-to-day speaking in life. And Isaac Newton created 3 laws, 3 principles to follow that are always correct. And this was back when he was born, like over 400 years ago. I say born, I mean alive. This was back when he was alive over 400 years ago. Literally, this is before modern day technology and modern day science. He discovered so much, he was a genius. And he had one law, one philosophy, which could be applied to every single realm of life and substantially elevate anybody's life, so you think about it. And this one law was none other than Newton's 3rd law, which, to paraphrase from my memory, for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. And this is honestly kind of just logical. There's a reason the Chinese drew the yin-yang symbol 3,000 years ago. It resembles balance. For every bit of good that comes into your life, there's an equal and opposite bit of bad, perhaps in somebody else's life, or your life, that will come for you. I talked about it in a video called The Balance of the Universe. This one right here. There's a reason that there was the yin-yang. There's a reason for Newton's 3rd law. It's because everything that you do good, there'll be an equal and opposite bad. For every bad day you have, there will be an equal and opposite. There'll be a good day. For every bad YouTube video I've had on this channel and analysed, I'm not going to have good YouTube videos on the channel. For every little bit that I've learned, and every little day that I have passed onwards and upwards further than where I was when I began, I've surpassed hundreds of thousands of small YouTubers who just gave up and couldn't be bothered. Just by uploading every day. And for this victory up here, in comparison to all of these Smallville subscriber YouTubers, they had to take the bad because they gave up for the good to succeed. Or in other words, you can't have one without the other. You cannot have light without dark. You cannot have hot without cold. It's the balance of the universe. And Isaac Newton was a genius by telling us this 400 years ago. The Chinese people who drew the yin-yang were geniuses for telling us that over 2,000, perhaps even 3,000 years ago. I don't know the fact. So if there's one thing I would like for you to take going forward, remember, for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. For every bit of good you do, there's an equal and opposite bad on the planet. There's no good without bad. There's no wet weather without dry weather. There's no sun without night. I should have said day without night. And you have to remember this balance. If the whole world was just sunny all the time, would you ever actually appreciate the sun? If it was raining all year long, a little bit like it does in England, do you think you appreciate the clouds in the sky? You cannot have this appreciation, this abundance of appreciation, without the hardships first. You can't have one without the other. You have to take both. To have $1 million, perhaps you need to work 20 hours a day. And that's the caveat. That's like the equal piece of value you're exchanging with the universe. So please just remember this, ladies and gentlemen, because it is the greatest lesson you will learn this week on YouTube. I guarantee it. As a matter of fact, I'd say it's the greatest lesson you will actually learn all week in every realm of life. It's the greatest lesson you will learn, full stop. There's a reason Sir Isaac Newton was considered a genius. He came up with 3 scientific laws, and he came up with the idea of gravity. So ladies and gentlemen, if you can't even listen to a genius's philosophy, you're that arrogant you believe you're more clever than a literal super genius, someone who had equal intellect with Albert Einstein, Stephen Hawking, but with zero of that technology. Someone who equaled the intellect without any technology. A British man who was ultra clever, and you can't even listen to him. You can't even listen to what he has to say. Then you should take a long, hard look at yourself in the mirror. Because honestly, you're a fool not to listen to him. But if you're watching to this point in the video, I assume you're not a fool. Because you don't actually have this dopamine issue that everyone has. You have clean, pure minds, pure focus. At least enough to be able to sit down and watch a 7-minute video, or however long it is. And for that, I respect you and I credit you for it. Because a lot of people struggle. As embarrassing as it is to say, a lot of people do struggle. So if you're here watching this right now, and you're somebody whose ideals line up, and you can actually agree with a genius, you can actually agree with me as well. I'm not saying I'm a genius. Then feel free to join our Discord below, brothers. It's becoming more and more active, and I'm genuinely super proud of it. I'm super appreciative for everyone that's in there. They're my most true loyal fans, and I have absolute abundance of respect, more so than any YouTube. I might say more than any YouTube viewer. So as always, it's completely free for you to join below. If it, aligns with you. If it's something you fancy, feel free to. It's completely free, 0 risk, high reward. But I won't force you. At the end of the day, it's your choice. So whatever, my friends. If you want to join, you want to join. If not, whatever. I really don't mind. Because we already have a couple of great people inside of the Discord. And as always, brothers, may God bless you all. Stay strong out there. We'll see you tomorrow.